Freemasonry. The very name often conjures images of secrecy, of hidden rites, and veiled agendas. But what if we were to peel back those layers of myth and speculation? What if, beneath it all, we were to find not a clandestine club, but a profound philosophical system? A system dedicated to one of the most fundamental of human tasks, the architecture of the self. Today, we shall explore Freemasonry not as a society, but as a unique and powerful blueprint for personal and spiritual transformation. This quote, "It truly gets to the very heart of the matter." At its core, Freemasonry seeks to provide a structured, ritualized path for what it sees as the essential human journey, the soul's pilgrimage from ignorance to understanding, from the chaos of an unexamined life to the ordered cosmos of an enlightened one. In our analysis, we will unpack how this unique synthesis of ancient symbolism and rational philosophy offers a guide for this timeless quest. Our inquiry will proceed in 5 stages. First, we will establish a philosophical foundation, understanding the fundamental distinction between our ordinary world and a deeper, sacred reality. From there, we will examine how the process of initiation serves as a bridge between these two states of being. We will then situate this journey within the great historical conversation between ancient faith and modern reason, and finally, we will see how Freemasonry resolves this tension in its ultimate goal, the construction of the inner temple. To truly grasp a system like Freemasonry, we must begin with a foundational question. How do human beings experience reality itself? The work of the great historian of religion, Mircea Eliade, provides a powerful lens for this, revealing a deep and meaningful division in our very perception of the world. As you can see, Eliade proposes 2 fundamentally different modes of existence. For what he terms homo religiosus, religious humanity, the world is not a uniform, homogeneous space. It is split. On the one hand, you have the profane, our everyday, historical, mundane existence. And on the other, you have the sacred, a higher, transcendent, and absolute reality that breaks through into our world, giving it order, meaning, and purpose. And this is the crucial part. For this worldview, it is only the sacred that is truly real. So then, how are these 2 distinct worlds bridged? The key, according to Eliade, lies in a concept he termed a hierophany. It is a fascinating, almost paradoxical moment. An ordinary object, a particular stone, a specific tree, remains precisely what it is in the profane world, yet it simultaneously becomes something more. It is transformed into a gateway, a point of contact with that higher, sacred reality. And this, really, captures the core of the human spiritual struggle. It is the quest to move out of the chaotic landscape of a purely profane life and to inhabit an ordered, illuminated existence within the sacred. It is precisely this deep-seated human need for meaning and transcendence that gives rise to structured systems of initiation. And that brings us perfectly to the concept of initiation. You see, this is not merely a ceremony. It should be understood as a kind of spiritual technology, a structured, ritualized process designed to fundamentally alter an individual's state of being, allowing them to symbolically die to their old, profane self and be reborn into a new, sanctified existence. The Masonic initiation serves as a classic, archetypal example of this journey. First, the candidate is separated from the outside world. They are then placed within a chamber of reflection, alone, in darkness, compelled to look inward and confront the finite nature of existence. This is followed by a series of symbolic trials, and these are not tests of physical strength, mind you, but deeply symbolic allegories for confronting one's own internal ignorance and passions. If they persevere, they finally emerge from this darkness into what is called Masonic light, a powerful symbol for an awakened, illuminated state of consciousness. Eliade's own words here truly drive home the sheer intensity and significance of this process. The goal is nothing less than to abolish the natural self, that is, the person driven purely by instinct, habit, and ignorance, and to be reborn into a life lived with higher, sacred purpose. The key takeaway is that this is not about joining a social organization. It is about a fundamental, ontological transformation of the self. So we have examined the personal, internal journey of initiation. But it is crucial to understand that this journey did not take place in a historical vacuum. Modern Freemasonry was forged in the fires of a massive intellectual conflict that was reshaping the very foundations of the Western world.
On one side of this great dialectic, you had the profound legacy of ancient wisdom. This is the world of esoteric traditions, of what scholars call prisca theologia, the belief in a single, universal, and secret theology handed down from the most ancient of times. This tradition, often linked to mythical sages like Hermes Trismegistus, sought gnosis, a direct, intuitive, and participatory knowledge of the divine, communicated through symbol, myth, and allegory. And then, standing in stark opposition, you have the Enlightenment. This was the great age of reason, a powerful intellectual current that sought to sweep away mystery and superstition in favor of empirical science and deductive logic. For towering figures like Isaac Newton, the universe was not some mystical poem to be interpreted. No, it was a magnificent, intricate machine, a grand clockwork cosmos operating on predictable, universal laws that could be discovered and understood through human reason. And this, right here, is the central tension of the modern age. How could one possibly reconcile a worldview based on mystical, symbolic gnosis with one founded upon empirical, mathematical reason? How can the cosmos of Hermes coexist with the cosmos of Newton? This very question sets the stage for a unique and remarkably powerful resolution.
And it is precisely from this clash of titans, this collision of worlds, that modern Freemasonry emerges. It presents itself as a surprising and elegant synthesis, an institution standing with one foot in the world of ancient mystery and the other planted firmly in the new age of reason.
The establishment of the Grand Lodge of England in 1717 marks a pivotal moment. This new, speculative masonry, profoundly shaped by the leading scientific and philosophical minds of its day, did not discard the old rituals and symbols of the operative stonemasons. Instead, it reimagined them, infusing them with the great ideals of the Enlightenment: reason, universal morality, and methodical self-improvement.
And perhaps the most brilliant and elegant example of this synthesis is the central Masonic conception of the divine. Rather than referring to the god of any one particular religion, Masonry speaks of the great architect of the universe. This stroke of genius reframes the divine as a master geometrician, a supreme rational intelligence whose creation, the universe, can be understood and indeed admired through the logical tools of science, mathematics, and geometry.
This new way of thinking completely transformed the craft's central metaphors. The biblical account of the building of King Solomon's temple, for instance, was elevated into a grand universal allegory. The temple was no longer simply a historical building, it became a symbol for the universe itself, constructed according to a rational divine plan. And on the individual, microcosmic level, it became the ultimate symbol for the construction of a perfected human being, one built with the tools of virtue, morality, and reason.
All of this brings us now to the ultimate purpose of the Masonic project. This grand reconciliation of reason and mysticism is not merely a philosophical exercise. It is intended as a practical, actionable blueprint for individual transformation. Its final purpose is the construction of the inner temple. This table reveals the layered genius of the Masonic system. You see, every core concept is designed to operate on at least two levels simultaneously. The inner man can be understood rationally as one's moral character, a very Enlightenment idea, or it can be understood esoterically as one's immortal soul. Light can signify intellectual knowledge and moral truth, or it can refer to a higher spiritual energy. The temple itself can symbolize the ideal, rational society, or that sacred inner space where the individual's soul connects with universal consciousness. It is a system where reason and mysticism do not simply coexist, they mutually enrich and deepen one another. And so we see the dialectic come full circle. We begin with a thesis, the practical, operative craft of the medieval stonemason. This collides with the antithesis, the abstract, rational philosophy of the scientific revolution. And out of that momentous collision, a new synthesis is born. An initiatic system of life where the working tools of a builder become powerful symbolic instruments for constructing a better, more noble self, for building the inner temple. Ultimately, this entire historical and philosophical exploration leaves us with a deeply personal and resonant question. In an age of profound intellectual and social change, Freemasonry proposed a set of tools: reason, morality, and symbolic tradition for the great work of building a meaningful self. As we navigate our own era of disorientation and constant flux, it compels us to ask, what are our tools? By what blueprint are we constructing the architecture of our own inner temple?